This is a New York City FC pregame live. Tonight, New York City head down to North Carolina to take on Charlotte FC. And now, here are your hosts, Glenn Crooks and Matty Lawrence.
Well. Good afternoon, good evening, wherever you might be from Bank of America Stadium in Charlotte, North Carolina. You're about to witness or maybe listen only to New York City FC at Charlotte FC. And, we've been here before, and there he is, Matty Lawrence. I'm Glenn Crooks, and it's the live radio commentary coming up at 7 p.m. We start with that. And then kickoff is at the very normal time of 7:25. So if we don't often think too closely or clearly or try to really understand some of the kickoff times. It doesn't really matter, but you got 10 after, you got 25 after, you got 40 after, and
we'd like a 7:30
like
or a 7:45. But it never seems to work out. But that's fine. As you say, it doesn't really matter, does it?
No.
When the game gets underway, we will enjoy it. Well, we hope to enjoy it anyway, that's for sure.
Well, what do we got? So first I want to start with a correction. I'm going to show you the field again here. When we did NYCFC Coffee Break Live, Matty and I, every Monday at 11 a.m. Eastern on these same platforms that you're watching this, I said that Bank of America Stadium was grass. I'd watched part of a previous game, and it looked like grass, but I didn't watch enough of it until a little later on, and then we were told, and now we're looking out, it's artificial surface, everybody. So, and the reason I thought it was grass too, it made me think, because on May 31st, the U.S. men's national team is playing Senegal in the penultimate game before the World Cup starts. Charlotte is not hosting the World Cup. What they are hosting is Scotland. They're setting up their training camp here, but Charlotte will not have any World Cup games themselves. So it's an artificial surface, Matty. And after you watch the full match, which I did more recently, you could tell it's artificial surface.
Yeah, it is. We have been told it's been a newly laid artificial surface.
That's true.
So that is a good thing. It's not the old surface that NYCFC played on in the playoffs, and obviously Andres Pereira suffered the nasty injury. Let's see how it plays. We know that it does depend whether they are older or newer. You would hope that this one's a little bit truer, and we'll see. We'll see whether they water it before the game and everything like that. But what we do know is Charlotte are very good here at Bank of America Stadium. They've been pretty good here this season, and they were absolutely exceptional here last season as well, Glenn.
Yeah, and the first victories for New York City ever at Bank of America Stadium. 4 games without a win, the first 4 played here until the playoffs. And that was a best-of-3 playoff series. Charlotte, they had 2 of the 3 games if it went that route due to the fact they finished ahead of New York City in the Eastern Conference, 4th place to 5th. But New York City wins the first game. They win the third game. They lost the second game at home on penalties. And it was New York City winning their first road games. And but in that third game, and Matty mentioned it, alluded to it, Andres Pereira suffered a very serious injury and only recently has returned. There was a very interesting moment here as I was setting up and getting us ready for this broadcast and also the live commentary coming up. Pascal Janssen, head coach for New York City FC, and Andres Pereira. They emerged from the locker area, and that locker area, I'm just going to put this up, is to the left there. That left corner is where they came out, and they worked their way across the field out of the scope of this shot I'm showing you now, and they walked together to the spot in the approximate area where Pereira suffered the injury. They went right to the spot. They sat there and talked for a bit. They pointed a little bit, looked all the way around, and then they turned to come back to the locker room, and Pascal Janssen put his arm around the shoulder of Pereira, and they walked in that manner for 5 or 10 yards. Obviously, it was something where some comfort was attempted to be laid on Pereira by Pascal Janssen by walking him out there. I thought it was to me, it was kind of a moving moment.
Yeah, look, I was very lucky in my 16, 17 years of professional football. I never had a truly serious injury. So I don't have those memories of somewhere that I detest because I broke a leg or I broke an ankle or anything like that. The worst I did was break a foot, and I know that was playing at Millwall, playing at home to Southampton. So I still remember that. But yeah, a truly bad injury I was lucky not to have. So I didn't see the moment, Glenn, but it will have been a moment that they shared together. And it's a moment, I guess, forget all the badness that happened here. Forget all the the
I was waiting to see if they sprinkled a little dust on the area.
Look, it's a different surface. It's a different surface.
Got the rubber, and tossed it. Just something symbolic to kind of erase the memory of that. So look, it is something when you suffer something like that, and when you consider how long he was out of action, and it was caused by the turf. I mean, it's almost 100%. We'll never have absolute proof of that. But if you talk to the Profe, Pascal Janssen, he talked about that, and he talked about Alonso Martinez on the artificial surface at Curacao on international break. Two great players were lost. Two important players were lost during that playoff stretch. And New York City still managed to get to the Eastern Conference Finals, where John Freeman was the referee. Inter Miami winning at 5-1. He's the referee here today, and he was the referee in Game 1 of the best of 3 last year here at Bank of America. So New York City very familiar with John Freeman.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think that does help. I think it helps if you know the referee, and because all referees treat their laws differently, slightly differently. Yeah. So it does help if you know. Some referees, you can get away with a foul early on in the game. You know that other referees, if you make a foul early on in the game, it's a bad one, he'll give you a yellow. You know the characteristics of a referee. So that is good to know. I think for me here, first and foremost, you forget the referee, you forget the opposition, and you have to play in the manner with which you played the last game. The last game was played with such quality that I think they have to replicate that, Glenn. Certainly the energy, if not the result, the energy, the enthusiasm, and the defensive solidity has to be repeated today. It can't be a one-off. The New York Red Bulls game in the US Open Cup, that was a one-off because they lost the next one. This company, they've got to build a run now. Even if it's just a draw, so it's a 0-0 draw, that's fine. Build a little bit of a run here because you've got 3 very tough away games plus a 4th. Away at Columbus, obviously in the US Open Cup, leading into the World Cup break.
Just one more thing on Pereira. I thought this was interesting. This listener and follower and viewer, the incredibly terrible injury to Pereira. Race car drivers walk the track after a bad accident. So there's thanks for sharing that, because there are some, probably long-standing traditions, and maybe what they did is something that's more commonplace than we know.
Yeah, absolutely. There's nothing wrong with doing it. There's nothing wrong with facing your fears, is there? The fears of a plastic pitch, the fears of this is where you played. The last time you played here, you broke your leg. Go out there and let's put it to bed almost before the game starts. I don't think that Pereira will be starting. You just put the line up.
So
Pereira is not starting.
No changes in the 11, and that's the first thing Matty said after the game, after our broadcast, is don't make any changes. These boys snapped a 7-game winless streak, and get the clean sheet, win 3-0. And the MLS Player of the Match Day belongs to New York City FC as well. Hannes Wolf. What did you think about his hat trick?
Yeah, his hat trick was very good. There were some really good finishes in there. And it was the fact that he was so productive because he didn't have many shots. I think he had 3 shots on target, 3 hit the back of the net, and the other one that hit the back of the net was disallowed, so it doesn't count as a shot on target. He was highly, highly productive, but we need to see Hannes Wolf do it. Not in fits and starts as he did last season and as he's seen me to do this season. There needs to be more productivity in greater runs of games as well. And we'll take 1 goal as long as it comes in 8 simultaneous games rather than just 1 hat trick here and then nothing for 7 games.
So he has scored 11 of his 21 career goals in 5 games. Yeah. The other 10 goals came in 75 games. So I asked Pascal Janssen about that. And here's the gaffer. And this is part of the pregame show. One-on-one exclusive with Pascal before every game. It's on at 7 o'clock, but here's a little clip from it.
The history of his goal scoring, he's what we would call streaky. I would imagine one of your efforts is to hope that he'll be a little bit more consistent in that area.
As many streaks as possible.
Is there anything in particular that you've noticed or talked to him about? We asked him about it too, and he's
What did he say?
not really certain. Well, he seems to think he's best when he's not really thinking and just finishing.
Well, that's the general thought for just about any attacker, I would say. So it's creating the right chemistry in the attacking line and how they play together and how they serve each other. And you see in the goals that he scored against Columbus, how we get into these positions is very interesting. And where he finishes also, because obviously he has a starting position. And throughout the game, they work together in order to get themselves in good, comfortable areas. And his finishing touch during the game against Columbus was in a different area than where he starts.
Credit, I think, to your training, because what he talked about, the one goal, is he played it out to Cavallo wide on the left, and he just knew that he was going to get to his spot and get the ball. He sensed that.
Yeah, you see this run of play, this third goal is interesting because I think we have over 20 connected passes or something, going from left to right, back to the middle, going back to the left, and making sure we move this opponent around and try to create those spaces that we love playing in. And he sets it up with a through pass to Nico, who makes a good third man run. And then the choices that Nico has to put in the cross, his cross was deflected just a little bit, but then it's about filling the box and making sure that we are there on time and filling the spots that we need to fill. And Hannes was one of them, and he set it up, but he smelled that moment. He should be at the edge of the box as well, so good finish.
Good finish, and
Nico Fernandez-Macau did well not to get his fingers kicked off as well.
Yeah,
his fingers were right down. He did well to get to the ball and then get out the way because he saw that Hannes Wolf was coming first time.
Yeah, that was amazing. And Hannes also confirmed that the last time he had a hat trick was he was a U19 player, so he's never had a professional 3-goal game, and now he has, and now let's see how he can follow that up. He's back at the 11, his second consecutive start after missing a couple with injury, and now it's Bank of America Stadium, where Charlotte since 2022, they are tied with New York City FC for second most wins at home, 41. And Charlotte is tied for third overall in points at home, just ahead of New York City FC, and 11 clean sheets, Matty, in their last 25 home matches, which is that's pretty impressive.
They are a completely different team at home to which they are away, and I know there's always a differential throughout the world, but theirs is seismic, the differential. I'm just looking at their last few games, and it was quite catastrophic what they've done. They've conceded 11 goals in their last 4 games. One of those was at home, granted, against FC Cincinnati, and they came back from 2-0 down, which means that they conceded 9 in 3 away games. So they're averaging 3 goals conceded per game away from home. They don't do that here. You'll do very well to put 3 goals past them here at the Bank of America Stadium. But the good thing is that Charlotte FC are not in good form as of late. They've only got 1 point from their last 12 in MLS play. They've only got 1 point from their last 5 games in all competitions. They lost in US Open Cup to Atlanta United. So this is not a team that's absolutely buzzing. And they're missing, for me, their driving force in the middle of midfield, Ashley Westwood, who set up, or certainly part of their 2 goals against FC Cincinnati. He's picked up yellow card accumulation. He's suspended. He's a leader. He's the captain. He provides assists. He doesn't get many goals, but you just see him lift the spirits of his team throughout the game. He's a real motivator and a real talker. I think he'll be a big loss.
Yeah, and he'll be replaced by Luca Della Torre, who's only had 3 starts previously for Charlotte, coming over from San Diego by way of Celta Vigo, and it really didn't go well in San Diego, and he's on a massive contract. Player salaries were released yesterday by the MLS Players Association. It's like a field day for everybody, getting a chance to see what everybody's making. I ask you this every time, Maddie, but I will always, because I love your responses. Do the players look at this and know what each other's making, and maybe privately are like, he's making that much more than me?
You should have seen the fingers being pointed on the plane when we flew over. And I am joking. That is a joke. But yes, the players, of course, they will know. And Ashley Westwood, guess what? He'll know that Luca de la Torre, who he keeps out of the team, is earning twice as much money as he is.
Wow.
That will hurt him. And rightly so. If I'm the captain, I'm the leader, and I'm starting, and you're the substitute, why are you earning 1.6 million and why am I earning 800,000? It's a kind of the beauty and the novelty of MLS, but it can cause rifts in the dressing room, of course, because if I'm keeping out the guy who's earning more money than me, how's that fair? Shouldn't be fair.
But you should never hold it against your teammate or your team.
No,
I mean, it's more the person,
owner.
or the owner or whoever signed you, and you got a contract agreement out of you, and you signed the contract. So I mean, it's
that's such a good point, because that is the one thing that pros told me, my colleagues, my peers, granted older pros when I first joined. You sign your contract, you're happy with it, don't worry about what anyone else is earning. If we do well as a team, we will get promoted, your contract will increase. And that is how I lived my footballing life. But I'm only a human, so when I'm keeping a player out of the team who's earning 5-6 times as much money as me, I don't hold it against him, but I'm like, well, why? What's going on here? This can't be right. So yes, the transparency of MLS is good and bad, of course.
Yeah, and it will always remind me of Justin Hack, who beat out Burke Reese at left central defense, then beat out Raul Gustavo at left central defense, and was making half as much money as both. I don't know what impact that had on the overall departure and what was offered at the end. The club did offer more than the LA Galaxy could by virtue of the NASL, MLS rules in their budget and transaction sort of stuff.
He's still earning less than Raul Gustavo, but just slightly less, and he'll feel much better about himself. That's for certain.
Yeah, so that's sometimes the money's impactful, and it's released twice a year, the MLS salaries, and once I forget when the second round of this goes, but it's before the end of the year, where and that's after the summer signings, and then something will come out there. But that's not the most. We want to look at the sporting side of this one here, and just that one change for Charlotte, and no changes for New York City FC. Charlotte, they're coming off a 2-2 draw against Cincinnati, but Matty, they dropped 4 in a row prior to that. Exactly. So when you said, and away from home, they're 1-4-1. Here at Bank of America, they only have 1 loss in 6 matches. Yeah. So what you said, in terms of the record, it pans out.
It does. It's been a tough time for them recently because the majority of their games are away from home, and they don't perform well away from home. They conceded 4, I think, against Nashville, conceded 4 against Orlando. They are a totally different team. It is night and day. They have the benefit as well of playing on AstroTurf that they are used to and no one else is used to. NYCFC have never played on this AstroTurf. Right, Charlotte have 6 or 7 times already this season. So obviously this is a bonus for them. It's a positive for them. But I think that coming off the back of that result, you just need to see a good fast start from NYCFC. I really do. I know it's hard having played a game in midweek and a game at the weekend, now playing a game midweek and having had the travelling. But it's the same starting 11, and you hope that you see the same tenacity early on.
Let's see the second goal by Hannes Wolf, and this is how we called it in the 3-0 win. You look back at it with such joy because it's been a while. The last win was March 14th. So
Fernandez Mercado, the ball falls to him. He takes it on a short hop. Now played forward to keep Parks on the left. It's the overlapping Nico Cavallo. Cavallo on the ground, cutback. Oh, it's 2-0 New York City FC. And Hannes Wolf with a brace. New York City moving the ball well. Keep Parks in the middle of it, and then Nico Cavallo with a neat little ball on the deck. Then the cutback from the byline, and Hannes Wolf has been perfectly placed for a pair of pullbacks now, Matty Lawrence, with his third and fourth goals of the season.
They are so hard to defend, pullbacks, because so often as a defender you're facing the ball, you're facing your own goal, you don't quite open the body up. This is a terrific move though from Cavallo. Great run in behind from Nico Fernandez-Macau, who cuts it back with real pace. And because there's so much pace on that cutback, all that Hannes Wolf has to do is just redirect it. He doesn't strike it, he just places his foot there and side puts it into the back of the net. It's a terrific finish, another terrific goal.
Yeah, a real clever ball from Cavallo.
It was.
And I wanted to play that in part just to show you Cavallo, because right now he's the number one left back. Kevin O'Toole is out injured. We don't know the length of time that injury will keep him sidelined. But what we do know is that Nico Cavallo, who out of Davidson and then UCLA, a draft choice, kind of working his way in because he has to. Yeah. There's no other left back in this team.
There isn't, and I think he's growing into first team football, into men's professional football, coming from the collegiate game. It isn't the same. It's a different pace, a different tempo, it's a different physicality, but he's slowly getting it, especially going forward, Glenn. He's looked really, really good going forward. Yeah. He's got a great engine. He's got more pace than I realised as well. Yes, he's quite a tall lad, so it normally takes him 5-10 yards to get going. But once he's going, he overlaps with real panache, with real pace as well. And he's finding passes as well now. He's finding passes, which he maybe wasn't before. He was passing the ball backwards too much, because that's what you do when you're a little bit nervous. I remember it when you're playing your first few games. You just don't want to make mistakes. So you don't go for those searching balls, those killer balls. You just keep possession. And that's the right thing when you have a few nerves. Why not just keep possession? Yeah. Don't try and force it. Don't give it away. But he's looking pretty good at the moment.
Yeah, well, he's starting again today. And again, New York City unchanged from the 3-0 win over Columbus at Yankee Stadium. We're at Bank of America Field in Charlotte, North Carolina. We mentioned injuries, and again, talking about Andres Perea, he is off the injured list. He was not available against Columbus. And anytime Perea, like Keaton Parks as well, people who have sustained real serious injuries and are still working their way back, you wondered. But he was fine, and what he explained was that he had reached, he went like this. The graph was a little too high for him on his data and analytics in terms of output. So they're being very careful with him, but he's on the bench at the start of today. And I want to repeat something that I did at the top of the broadcast, is a description of Pascal Janssen walking out with Andres Perea about 2 hours before kickoff, right to the spot where Perea suffered a very, very serious injury, and that was Game 3 of the best-of-3 series, and it was here at Bank of America Stadium. New York City wins the match. Nico Fernandez-Macau had a brace, and they advanced in the Eastern Conference. But they walked to that spot. They pointed at a couple of things. They turned both ways. And then when they turned to come back to the locker area, Pascal Janssen put his arm around Andres Perea. And it was just a really touching moment almost, as they walked to the spot and maybe just tried to eliminate all the bad feelings from that, Matty.
Yeah, and I think it's a good thing to do. We know he's on the bench today, but there is a good chance he's on the bench. There's a good chance he will come on. You just want to eradicate that bad feeling, those bad thoughts if you can. And I think that just tells you more about Pascal Janssen, his man management, and the way he treats his players as individuals. Everybody's an individual as well as a collective. He treats them as individuals. They all need to be treated differently. And when Perez suffered a serious injury here, last time he was here, why not walk out there? Why not sit down with him? Why not just circle the spot where they were and say, forget about it. That was old turf. This is a new turf. It's a new surface. This isn't going to happen again. You're going to go out there and you're going to do your best when you're called upon, if he's called upon.
I want to close this by congratulating Eber and his wife. They just had a newborn baby. Eber at times chimes in and watches us here on NYCFC Pregame Live. So Eber, if you are watching, congratulations. Just so very, very happy for you and your young family. It's fantastic news. And also some decent news on the World Cup transportation side. The New York, New Jersey host committee is going to operate school buses transporting up to 18,000 riders on non-school days, by the way, to MetLife Stadium from 3 locations. The shuttle buses will cost $20 instead of $80, which was the cost originally. So there are, you could see there's response to some of the negative ideas in regard to this transport.
I think
to get to these
sponsors, a lot of
games.
sponsors have stepped up as well, which is great to see. They will get themselves involved as well, but it's just taking everything away from the massive outlay of the average supporter who can't afford to be paying $120, $150 to catch the train 18 miles from Penn Station out to MetLife Stadium. Or not MetLife Stadium, New Jersey, New York Stadium, of course.
Oh, of course. All right, that's going to do it for us. In about 5 minutes, we're going to be on the air on nycfc.com/radio, the NYCFC app, the TuneIn app, and that's our live commentary beginning with the pregame show presented by Ford with the exclusive one-on-one with New York City head coach Pascal Janssen. So New York City, 7th place in the Eastern Conference against number 8 Charlotte here at Bank of America Stadium in Charlotte, North Carolina. Thanks so much for joining us here. For Maddie, I'm Glenn. Enjoy the game, everybody.
We don't need your help.